It was 5 in the morning when the clink of silverware coming from my locked boathouse yanked me out of bed. At first I figured it was a raccoon or maybe some drunk kid, but then I heard the soft humming of a woman's voice mingling with Kenny G jazz, and let me tell you, that was the moment I knew I wasn't dreaming. I was knee-deep in some fresh brand of insanity. I hadn't even stepped inside that boathouse for weeks, and it was sealed up tight, padlock and all, so you can imagine my gut reaction. Still half asleep in my flannel pajama pants, boots with no socks. Flashlight in one hand, I trudged down that rocky path to the dock, half expecting to chase out a squirrel, only to find, get this, Karen from the HOA sipping coffee on my deck like she'd booked the place for a yoga retreat. She's there in a floral robe, pink inflatable flamingo bobbing next to the dock. Lavender candles burning the whole setup like a spa commercial gone rogue. She sees me standing there in disbelief, flashlight straight in her face, and just waves like I'm the intruder, not her. Before I can even get my jaw off the ground, she's offering me breakfast, asking if I want eggs, as if this is her lakeside Airbnb and I'm just some random guest. I tried to keep my cool. I really did, but she'd redecorated the whole inside throw pillows. Fake succulents. My kayak shoved to the wall, my chair's fishing poles, everything rearranged to match her lakeside vibe. I told her she was on private property and needed to leave immediately, but Karen just pulled out a laminated HOA pamphlet, laminated for crying out loud, and started reading off some wild clause about shared waterfront amenities, saying she had rights to any structure not in current use. She argued dead serious that since I hadn't used the boathouse in a few weeks, it counted as inactive, so technically she could take it over for the weekend. Now, let me clarify, my property is next to the HOA, not in it, and it's private with clear signs and everything. I'd been through skirmishes with these people before, but this was a new level of crazy. Karen claimed I was disrupting her peace, locked me out, and when I knocked, she said she didn't feel safe letting me in unless I calmed down. Me, the actual owner. I stomped back up to the house and called the sheriff, half expecting them to haul her off. But the deputy showed up and told me it was a civil matter. Unless I had video of her breaking in or real damage, I'd need to sort it in court. Meanwhile, Karen treated him to tea and explained her rights with a straight face. I couldn't believe it. She smiled at me, told me to consider it a rental experiment, and even hinted she'd ordered new rugs and lights for her extended stay. I filed a complaint with the HOA. Of course, Karen had already gotten to them first, told them she was revitalizing a neglected asset. The president, who's always had it out for me because I never joined their HOA club, actually backed her up, claiming I wasn't being neighborly enough. I'm not even under their rules, but they act like the lake is theirs by divine right. That whole weekend, Karen held a full-blown lakeside brunch yoga sessions, karaoke, even deliveries to my dock with her name on the boxes. I filmed it all. If I couldn't get the law on my side, maybe public shame would do. When I tried to reason with her Sunday night, she threatened a restraining order, claimed I was harassing a vulnerable woman. I nearly laughed myself to tears. Sitting at my table later, wading through every deed and utility bill I owned, I found something in the local water law. If a structure's not moored to private land, it counts as a vessel, not real property. That's when it hit me. Let her have the boathouse, just not on my shoreline. With a little help from my friend Nate, I found an old tugboat for sale, fixed it up, and by Thursday we had it hidden at the far end of my lot. I needed one last legal nail, so I called my cousin Amy, a lawyer who specializes in property disputes. She drafted a letter for Karen, spelling out the trespassing and misrepresentation charges, even explaining the bit about floating structures. Karen just taped up a sign that read, "Lake Wellness Sanctuary Members Only," and doubled down. The woman was either fearless or completely off her rocker, maybe both. Friday night, Nate and I went full covert ops, black clothes, flashlights, the works, but not for stealth so much as the drama. We hooked the tow line to the boathouse, double-checked everything, and at the crack of dawn I slowly towed the entire wellness center into the middle of the lake. When Karen woke up and realized her boathouse kingdom was surrounded by water instead of shoreline, her face was a movie. She spun around, shouted for help, tried calling the cops, even accused me of kidnapping a structure I just watched from the shadows, trying not to laugh. It gets better. Brad from the HOA showed up on a jet ski in a rescue mission straight out of a sitcom. He tried towing her back, but the jet ski couldn't handle it. The rope snapped. Brad fell in. Karen panicked, and both of them ended up stranded on the floating spa. By the time the lake patrol showed up, I'd already filed trespass paperwork. The deputies handed her a formal notice and calmly explained, "Ma'am, you're not on the earth anymore. You're on a boat." I nearly fainted from happiness. Karen and Brad got escorted back to shore, the boathouse left floating untouchable and untethered. The whole fiasco blew up online after Karen posted a video ranting about being evicted by a bitter neighbor. The internet did what it does, memes jokes. Someone even photoshopped her into Castaway with a volleyball. The local Facebook groups, even Reddit, caught fire. By Monday, the story had a life of its own. Castaway Karen, queen of HOA entitlement. Karen wasn't done. She put out a PR video blaming lakefront bullying and accused me of being threatened by female empowerment. No one bought it. Folks dug up her HOA record, years of petty fines trying to ban wind chimes for being too chaotic. When that didn't work, the HOA sent me a cease and desist demanding I put the boathouse back, apologize, and restore harmony. My cousin Amy's reply could have been hung on a wall. Please advise your client she is not above the law, nor does she possess riparian dominion over private property. Next, the HOA tried to annex my shoreline at an emergency meeting. The whole neighborhood showed up partly for the drama. Greg, our oldest neighbor, called Karen out, reminded everyone that I'd owned my property since before the HOA existed, and she was lucky I hadn't pressed charges. Karen tried to shout him down, but for once no one was listening. That was it for the board's patience. Karen lost her seat. The president resigned, and the new leadership led by Felicia, who'd always supported me, amended the bylaws to prevent any future Karen invasions. They called it the Karen Clause. Peace returned to the lake, the boathouse still bobbing on open water, now famous and meme-worthy. I'd get up every morning, drink coffee, and watch the sunrise over a boathouse that once symbolized everything wrong with entitlement, now just a floating punchline. I could have left it there, but there was one last twist. I transferred ownership to a shell company, listed it online as Karen's Island, the only floating HOA retreat forcibly evicted by lake law. The bids were pure gold travel bloggers, YouTubers, a tech CEO with a girlfriend named Karen. It sold for $15,000, far more than it's worth, and before it was hauled away, I hung a plaque inside. Here floated the queen of HOA entitlement. May all who enter leave their egos at the shore. The night it left, neighbors gathered to watch. Greg brought popcorn. Someone played the Titanic theme on a Bluetooth speaker. Karen saw it all on TikTok and had a meltdown, but this time nobody cared. She ended up moving away, her house up for sale. Her reputation tanked, even her own HOA distancing themselves in official statements. You know, sometimes revenge doesn't look like fireworks. Sometimes it's a slow float, a viral video, a neighborhood learning where the real boundaries are. I set up a fire pit on the shore, open to all, no HOA membership required, just a single sign, "No Karens," beyond this point. Funny how one ridiculous saga brought the neighborhood closer than years of meetings and rules ever did. In the end, the only thing that really floated away was her entitlement and a little piece of my own stress. I got my lake back, and maybe, just maybe, we all learned a thing or two about boundaries, justice, and what happens when you try to rule over something that was never yours in the first place. So, tell me, was I right or wrong? Would you have let it drift, or would you have burned it down? I want to hear your take on where the line is, because sometimes the only thing standing between you and madness is a tugboat and the will to say not today.